So today we are going to be talking about what to do after a binge in 6 simple steps that are going to leave you feeling better very fast and also set you up where you never binge again. Most of the things that people do after a binge set them up for failure and set them up to actually binge more. You'll want to stay till the end of this video because the 6 steps I share will really help you, and that 6th one is going to really set you up for success and leave you feeling good so you can get back in your power with food. I'm Brittany Brown, founder of Beating Binge Eating. I did not always have it so easy with my body and food. In fact, I know exactly what it feels like to wake up after a binge, and I stayed in that cycle for almost 15 years. I know what it feels like to look at the damage you did the night before, feel drained, feel just emotionally exhausted, the guilt, the shame, the being hard on yourself, the wondering what's wrong with you, and then the physical symptoms, the exhaustion, feeling swollen, bloated, sluggish, all of it. You should not have to feel that way. And to be honest, you don't have to feel that way. So follow along with me in this video. I'm going to show you a path out that will set you up for success. All right, so step 1, treat this binge as an isolated incident. One time you ate a lot, that's it. This binge does not mean you have to start over. It doesn't mean you have this huge task in front of you of starting back at the beginning of stopping binge eating. You've probably made it really far and you've probably made huge strides since the beginning of your struggle. So this is a good time to look at how far you've come instead of how far you have to go, and then move into a space of trying to feel better in the moment, which we are going to talk about in the next steps. All right, step number 2, and this is one of my favorites. Recognizing the binge means nothing about you. So I won't go too into the science, but when you really study the brain and the causes of binge eating, you realize that your urge to binge is coming from a part of your brain that is completely separate from you, from where your personality lies, your goals, your dreams, your love for life, your love for your family, your love for yourself. These urges to binge come from a very automatic, primal, survival-oriented part of the brain, and it really is just an automatic pattern that's developed over time. The really cool thing about patterns, once you really study and understand them, is you have the true you, and then you have patterns that happen in moments of overwhelm that truly mean nothing about you. They're just the patterns that have been created for your survival, for your safety in the past, and you actually don't need these anymore. So when you treat your binge like an isolated, objective incident that means nothing about you, that gives you space to detach and then observe and learn what there is to learn so you can reprogram these urges to eventually go from being wired to binge to wired for freedom. All right, step number 3 is focusing on nourishment in the present moment. So here's what I mean by this. A lot of people, if they binge in the first half of the day, go on kind of this free-for-all the rest of the day, meaning their meals after their binge are impacted by what happened in the past. Another thing I see is if you binge at night. A lot of people are nighttime binge eaters. You'll want to restrict or make up for your the binge from the night before, meaning you'll cut calories, you'll cut food groups, you'll try to detox, you'll try to get to the gym to get it off. There's this idea of making up for it. And all of this stuff is rooted out of the present moment and rooted in fighting. So through nourishment is the idea of partnership. And you really want to take care of your body's needs in the moment, because the more you take care of your body's needs, the more your brain and body is going to trust you to feed it and take care of it. And these little pesky things called survival mechanisms are going to quiet. When I say survival mechanisms, imagine if you had a switch in your brain that got switched on to binge and overeat. These are your survival mechanisms. When you are cutting calories, controlling, not eating in the present moment, restricting, making up for a binge, any of that, the switch to eat gets flicked on, your survival mechanisms, and you think about food more, that all or nothing kind of autopilot takes over, you don't feel satisfied, you can eat and eat without feeling full, and through nourishment, taking care of your body, giving it what it needs, and eating an adequate amount to really take care of your body, you're going to actually think about food less. The area of your brain where the self-control lies is going to come back on board, and you are going to be able to make choices from this present centered place that focuses on partnership and honor versus fighting, controlling, and just trying to, stay in control. Because we've seen where that gets you, and it is definitely not in this place of freedom and ease that you want. So step 3 is nourishment, partnership with your body in the present moment. Okay, so step number 4 is a big one, and it's a softer one. This is compassion and forgiveness. So I know when you do something that you're not proud of, or when you do something you don't want to do, our kind of knee-jerk reaction is to criticize ourselves, to blame ourselves, to judge ourselves, to shame ourselves into trying to change. And really take a minute and think about where that criticism has gotten you up until now. You don't have to change from a place of hate and criticism. You can change from a place of acceptance and compassion. And acceptance doesn't mean that you stay doing the same thing till the end of time and you wave the white flag for this idea of transformation. That's not what we're saying. It's okay to want more for yourself. It's okay to want freedom. But it's also okay to realize you're human. There's 7.5 billion of us on this planet. We all think we know what we're doing and we really don't. And we're messy and we have good days and we have bad days and we have ups and downs. And a huge part of this journey is being comfortable in the ebbs and flows of life and really being compassionate with yourself and being soft and gentle on yourself instead of, starting that fight and that control again. And the next step of compassion is forgiveness. A really beautiful, beautiful exercise to forgive yourself that actually helps you be objective, right? And separate from those patterns that cause the binge eating and separate the true you, the you in your power that has freedom with food and knows how to eat and all that good stuff, is an exercise where you write a letter to that part that binged. Write a letter. You can be nasty at first, have it out with that part of you, but then you want to move into a place of forgiveness and curiosity and ask that part of yourself, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I support you? And then on the flip side, you can write a letter back from that part of yourself, those automatic patterns that are binging, right? And share what you need to have freedom, what you need to not binge anymore. And this does 2 things. Like I mentioned, it helps you separate from your urges, which is going to help you separate more in the future. And it takes a lot of that pressure off. And guilt, shame, criticism, fear, all of that is fuel to the fire of binge eating. And you want to step out of that as much as possible and step into this place of love, partnership, and compassion as much as you can to diffuse the situation a bit and break up the emotional spiral that you're in and get you back to a place of power. Step 5 is self-care. We can keep this one short. This really pulls together all the last points and keeps that idea of partnership going. So what can you do in this moment to care for yourself, to nourish yourself, to take care of your needs? A lot of times we're not taking care of what we need and then we reach for food in place of that need. So the simple question, what do I need right now to feel grounded, to feel centered, to regulate myself? And then do that for yourself. And the last step, step 6, this is process and learn. So disclaimer, you don't want to go to step 6 until you're really feeling out of kind of that emotional loop. You want to do step 6 when you're in a place of clearness, objectivity, and when you can take kind of a non-emotional stance and look at the situation and see what can you shift in the future? What could you maybe improve on? What happened before that spurred it? And what are some things to really get to know about your urges so you can separate from them in the future? And a big question that it's so important you ask yourself is, Was I taking care of myself this day or the day before and giving my body what it needed? I would say that 75% of binging comes from not feeding yourself enough and mental, emotional, and physical restriction with your food. So you do want to look and make sure that you're eating adequately, eating enough to take care of yourself. And then after that, once that basis is covered, really see if there's anything else, any emotional things going on. And then you can make sure to give yourself what you need based on what you discover once you're out of the spiral, removed from the situation a bit, and really feeling in your power. All right, so there you have it, the 6 steps of what to do after a binge. And I also promised a little gift for, getting you out of this place of being wired to binge and really getting into this place where second nature ease is wired into your way of being, so you don't have to think about this stuff so much and don't fight. So in the description below this video, there's going to be a link to a free training. It's going to show you how to step out of this place where binge eating's happening on autopilot and step into a place of freedom and ease with your food. So go there now, check out that link, get the free training, and also if you like this video, be sure to click subscribe, comment, share with someone who needs it. We will be here every week delivering you a ton of value for food freedom forever. See you next week.